Hi, the purpose of this presentation is to talk about how I believe that some automobile manufacturers are throwing the word hybrid around far too loosely in the hopes of increasing sales for a given model, for a given vehicle that they're trying to sell. Uh, what you're looking at now is a photograph from Chevrolet's website of what I consider to be one of the best, if not the best, hybrid vehicles on the market on the American road today. Uh, I'll scroll down and we'll look at some of the details on the 2018 Chevrolet Volt. And along with that, I think that some manufacturers are trying to get on the bandwagon and copy the success that Chevrolet has had with the Volt. And I think their poor implementation of hybrid technology is going to keep them from doing that. It seems like every engineer has their own definition or variation that they want to do with implementing hybrid technology. Let's see. What I'm looking for the 18.4 kilowatt hour lithium ion battery pack. Okay, that is large enough to qualify for the federal tax credit, I do believe. When I purchased my 2011 Volt, I think it had to be at least 15 point something kilowatt hours, a minimum, somewhere around there. And I believe that this 18.4 qualifies this vehicle for the federal tax credit. And there's one manufacturer that I can think of specifically, this one, the BMW, the i8. They have the nerve to call this car a hybrid. And it is a hybrid because it can use battery power and it can use engine power as well. And it can use a battery for maybe a couple miles. So I guess in that regard, it is a hybrid. But I suspect, well, my suspicion is they're using the hybrid word in an effort to try to increase sales. Now, this MSRP for this vehicle is from $143,400. It's $143,000. I think this is like toys for tots. Toys for somebody who has too much money and doesn't have enough sense. I would definitely buy a Corvette before I purchased a car like this. Okay, but anyway, back to the Chevrolet Volt, and it has a once again 18.4 lithium ion battery pack. And if I go ahead and click on product information, I think we'll see some additional information down there concerning let's see, okay, 53 miles EV range. Yes, 53 miles EV range. Now, when I purchased my ELR was advertised at, I believe it was 36 miles EV range. Now, that EV range, that's going to equate to a huge amount of this 53 miles EV range. That's going to turn into a huge number as far as saving money at the gas pump. And the reason I say that is because of, I'll show you a screenshot. Let's see if I can find it. This is a screenshot from the end of 2017, September 2017, of my efficiency in my ELR. I had a lifetime at that time of 97.4 mpg. And once again, I remind you, this car was advertised, I think it was 36 miles EV range. And most of the time I was able to get 38 or 40 miles EV range, most of the time. So if the Chevrolet Volt gets 53 miles, if this were a Chevrolet Volt, these numbers would be much, much higher. The lifetime average MPG would be well above 100. I'm pretty sure about that. Now back to the Volt. But I think lots of manufacturers, or plenty of manufacturers, are trying to jump on the bandwagon and call it and they call cars hybrids, even though it's a poor implementation of hybrid technology. Uh, and BMW is a prime example of that, I do believe, especially with the i8. I think the i8 is like a toy for tots, or something, toy for geeks. I'll call it that. And the Chevrolet Volt, in my opinion, is one of the best, if not the best, hybrid cars on the market today. Hi, this is Vic, and I'm truly hoping that I can start some type of movement here. And that is fight like a Spartan. Men, there is an alternative to surgery. If you are confirmed to have prostate cancer, you do not have to have surgery. 10 years ago, in 2007, after 2 doctors recommended surgery for me, I searched and searched for an alternative, and I went to the website that you're looking at right now, cyberknife.com, to find an alternative to surgery. And only after talking to the doctor in the hospital that worked with the CyberKnife did I decide to go through the CyberKnife treatment. I put off surgery as long as I possibly could, and I spoke with the doctor that actually worked in the hospital that had the CyberKnife facility, and he did a test, and he confirmed, and what he told me was the CyberKnife was a good treatment for me, that he could treat me with the CyberKnife. So I chose the CyberKnife. I found a hospital. Well, first of all, if you go to cyberknife.com, they have a search feature in there where you can search, you can tell the search engine how far to look. It can go from, you can select 5 miles or 250 miles away from your zip code. Like, you tell it to search in the US, and then you type in your zip code, and you can tell it to go as far as 250 miles or whatever. And as it turned out, there was a hospital that has a CyberKnife facility 20 miles away from me. My treatment went like this. I got up early to go to work and left enough time to lay down in the bed. My treatment plan was for 45 minutes. Yours could be different. Mine was for 45 minutes. So I had to lay still for 45 minutes, completely dressed, no surgery, no cutting, and while this machine rotated around me. And when they told me they were finished, and it generally took about 45 minutes, when they told me they were finished, I would get up, and they said, okay, you can leave now, and that was it. I got back into my car, and I drove to work. I worked and did anything and everything that I wanted to do. There was no limitations placed on me. And that's my push for the CyberKnife. Men, we have a tool to kill and defeat prostate cancer. Fight like a Spartan. No surrender, no retreat.